When you get you a tray, if you follow these rules, you will never get played. Trying to play me like I'm stupid, boy, you better behave, cause I'm a dog. You don't want me to go back to my ways, huh? You don't want me to go back to my ways, huh? You don't want me to go back to my ways, cause I'm a dog. You don't want me to go back to my ways.
Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Ratedmapodcast. I am Tavares.
I'm Dabrian.
And Blake is out on suspension because he tried me last week, so he might be back next week. Anyway, today is a very special episode. Normally we talk a lot about sex here on the show, but we also touch on STDs, more specifically HIV. And last season we had an HIV outreach professional on the show where we talked about PrEP and statistics in the community. This season, I really wanted to have someone young, male, minority, who was also actively living with HIV on the show to come on and share their story. So today we have a young man by the name of David, who is 28 years old, and he's been living with HIV since 2015. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
David.
Thank you.
How do you feel being here? Are you nervous?
A little bit, but the vibes are cool.
Yeah.
So
you good?
Yes.
That's good.
So just take me back to, you're from DC, or where did you grow up? How did you grow up?
Born and raised in Arlington, Virginia.
Okay.
And then grew up around Virginia, went to DC, K Street, clubbing, all that fun stuff. But mainly stayed in Virginia.
And are you like an only child?
No, I'm the sixth. I'm number 6.
Damn.
Yes.
Of how many?
Well, just 6.
Oh, okay.
I'm the last
baby.
one. I'm the baby.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
6. Oh, okay. And when did you first start having sex? Or when did you come out?
I mean, I never really sort of came out. I guess everybody knew, but I told someone, and this someone told everyone else.
Okay.
That's how it always
So it just kind of flew in there.
Right.
So
it's never been a real conversation with your parents or anything? Or siblings?
Not really. Yeah, it has. I have, they've finally asked, and, I have confirmed.
Yeah.
But it's never really been I've come out. It's more of they all knew.
Yeah. Parents always know anyway. Mm-hmm. So what has dating been like when you were growing up? Have you ever introduced anybody to your parents?
Not
like this, my man.
Not once to my mom.
Okay. You were like, this is bae.
Yeah, and it was happening for a little bit. So it's I lived with my mom, so my mom had to know.
Right.
So I was just gonna be.
Oh, you was fucking in the house?
Yeah.
He's not black, y'all. He's Latino, by the way. But, black parents don't play that.
So as an El Salvadorian, right?
Yes.
So as a El Salvadorian, is there any type of was there? How can I put?
Any kind of pushback?
This? Was there? Yeah. Did you receive a lot of negativity from your family, or a lot of bad feedback in regards to you being gay?
I definitely got a lot of pushback. I was born and raised Catholic as well.
Okay.
So it was spread through the church as well,
yeah.
And it was just a lot of pushback. My dad was very, very good, in the sense of he pushed back, but he wasn't one of those people that was like
an abusive father.
Or let's take you to church and yeah, machismo.
Yeah.
He wasn't like that.
Okay.
He definitely was just I'm gonna let you sit there, but we're gonna still just talk.
Yeah,
just sit there. My mom was definitely more of the hardcore. I'm pushing back, giving me a little bit of a nudge, more of a attitude after.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And were you feminine as a child, or would they know automatically, or?
Yeah, they knew. I was I'm more, I guess, into the feminine stuff, but never portrayed to be the feminine.
Particular. That's what my family used to call it.
Oh, instead of gay, they'd be like, oh, he's particular.
They would just be like, you're very particular.
I can see that, he's particular about his clothes and what he looks like.
Yeah, they would just say it like that. And then you'd be like, what's that mean? And then they'd be like, well, your hands, the way you talk.
Oh, my mom would say that all the time.
Yeah, if you talk with your hands, it's a
exactly.
sign. It's clock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when did you start having sex?
16.
Or messing around?
16.
16?
Yeah, definitely 16. 16 going on up. After, I would say 17 is when I definitely, like, went really hard.
Okay.
Like, and I definitely, like, went around.
And I'm always curious about when people first come out. Like, how do you, like, yesterday we were talking to David, and he said, like, when he was younger, people would, like, be like, you're going to be the bottom. Yeah. And maybe automatically because you're small or whatever, but how did you decide what you liked, or did you automatically gravitate towards something more?
I automatically gravitated to being a bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely gravitated there. But then changed as time went on. And then it just kind of flip-flops back and forth. Yeah. You know?
I feel like that's normal. We evolve out of what we started as.
I think I'm evolved.
Because when I first started, I was like, you can only fuck me if you my boyfriend.
Were you really?
And, very much so. When I was in my early 20s, bitch, you couldn't get none of this cat. I said on your face, bitch, and go home, but and then in recent years, I'll be like, damn, I want to learn to be verse, because it just seems like it's the best of both worlds.
You know what's crazy is I'm just now learning that. Like I've flip-flopped here and there in the past, you know, like in my early 20s and stuff like that, but now I think that I'm more settling into flip-flopping.
I'm more open to it now.
I expect it now in sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Meaning you'll try it now. Like you'll nudge them and be like, okay, bend over.
Like I'm not going to just like I'm not going to ignore the fact that I may want to top you. Like now it comes up in conversations.
Do they normally ask or you ask?
Well, I haven't done it a lot. Well, how can I put it? I haven't had a lot of sex since I've been flip-flopping. Okay. But the 2 times that I did, but the last couple times that I was like flip-flopping, they already knew what was up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, David, what was dating like back in the day, when like in your early teens and stuff? Like even on the East Coast and in a little town. Is that a little town?
No, not really. But it's conservative, definitely conservative. So I remember it being like me and then maybe like 3 or 4 other guys that were openly gay.
Okay.
In the school. And then everybody else was straight, you know, had boyfriend, girlfriend.
Sorry.
So dating for me in the teens wasn't really like a thing.
Right. Probably more about getting a nut, just messing around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was more of that for a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as you grew into yourself, what kind of guys did you start to like, or what's your type?
So at first I thought I was like only like probably white guys. Okay. Like that's what I went to school with, you know. But I moved here and there. Mm-hmm. So after, I would say 11th grade, I did my senior year in Missouri. Oh. So I lived in Missouri.
That's random. How you get there?
My sister lived there.
Okay.
So I moved there just to see what it's like. Mm-hmm. I finished school there, and then I found a whole other
black man
type of mans all over there.
Some old country man. Huh?
So then I was like, oh, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
My name is Hi. So that happened. And then after that, like again, I moved around, so I lived in Colorado as well.
Okay.
So I got to...
And you're not like Army brat?
Oh, no. I'm just general, just regular guy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
So
how did you end up in California?
2 years ago, I got in trouble. You know? So I got in trouble, and as I was getting in trouble and getting my ticket, I just like looked up a flight and I just booked it. And it just wasn't going well for me at the time. You know, all of that is what also happened in between when I got diagnosed as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously it just wasn't good for me. And so when I got stopped, that was just my last straw for myself. And I just booked my flight, and I just, I was just like, no, I can't.
And had you ever thought about moving to California?
I had multiple times.
Okay.
I had spoken to multiple friends. Actually, the friend that, sent me the link.
Oh, yeah.
We had talked about it, and then again, finally, like, as I got in trouble, I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't, like, be trying over here as much as I try. So I was just like, let me try somewhere else.
And did you move here alone?
I did.
So take me back to the day that you actually got your diagnosis. Like, walk me through if it was a regular checkup or if you were having symptoms ahead of time, or like what was going through your mind.
I was with someone at the time, and they just, they were just like, I'm going to go get tested. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, okay. I just looked at them and I said, okay, if this, do you want me to, should I go? Should is this going to be a thing?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, if you want to go, just come with me. Okay, fine. So I hadn't really gotten tested for like a year and like maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe, you know. So I had been fucking around a lot. Unprotected. So I just, you know, I wasn't avoiding it. I just hadn't gotten it done.
And with this particular person that you were going with, y'all was just kicking it, or were y'all dating?
Or your
we
friends?
were supposed to be dating.
Okay.
We were supposed to be dating. And so we went. It was the 21st of December. It was 4 days before Christmas. We just went to the public health clinic.
Okay.
We got tested, and then like within like 2 or 3 minutes, we were separated because it's all confidential and whatnot. So within like 2 or 3 minutes, I would say within less than 5 minutes, like the doctor came in and they were like, "We're gonna come and talk to you again. I just need to make sure this is correct."
Okay.
And she just like kind of walked away. And as she walked away, I called my friend and I was like, "I think the doctors just told me that I'm positive." And so as that happened, the doctors came in and they were like, so we confirmed it with the little quick test that they usually do with the blood, the rapid one. And they were like, "You're positive, so we want to take you back to the lab and send out more for the Western blot," is what they called it.
Okay.
And that takes about 2 weeks when you first initially do it. And it tells you then, you know, your viral load, your, actually just technically your viral load. And then your regular blood work tells you everything else.
Okay.
You know, your CD4 blood cell counts, all that fun stuff. So that happened.
So what was like the first thing that went through your mind?
I wasn't really thinking at the time in that moment right there. When I called my friend, like I said, I just called her. It was the same friend, you know, I always reference. She's my best friend. I called her and I was just like, brief moment. And so she was like, "Just call me back later." And I said, "Okay." And I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't really thinking at the time. And then, so after the blood work, they were like, "We need you to go and meet with a counselor." The counselors, as I'm sitting with the counselor, that's when I started thinking about things. And I was really thinking about like, I was mostly thinking about him, like what was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't understand, but like what was going to happen now.
So was he there and got his results as well?
He was there and he had gotten his results as well. But we were separated.
Oh,
so
okay.
Mine, this was just like for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like this was between like I would say an hour and a half to 2 hour thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I would say usually it's maybe like 30 minutes to maybe 45 minutes and everything is done. But this was like a whole like 2 hours.
So it literally went from diagnosis to moving you into the counselor office?
Diagnosis, laboratory, and then moving into the the counselor's office. Because again, they wanted to send out extra blood work.
Yes.
And then at this point, when you go into the counselor is actually like there to counsel you, to ask you how you feel, and then they're going to tell you this is what's next, this is where you go, and then they usually have a file all set up for you because again they have all your information when you check in, and they're just like, "We'll call you when you're ready to pick up the medications," because they
immediately put you right on medication.
They try, they go ahead and provide everything.
At least an early supply.
To try, So then they would just like get everything ready, and again within those 2 weeks they get results and then figure out like just, hey, this is I guess the medication that we had at the moment.
Right.
Let's go ahead and put you on there to try and get you an antiretroviral.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it wasn't until I was in the counselor with the counselor that I was like really thinking about everything, and I was just like mainly thinking about him, like what kind of results did he get?
Right.
If he get the same results, what was he thinking?
Yeah.
Like I was thinking myself, like I mean I'm 23, 24. At that age, I was like, I knew what I was doing anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of got to, you know, a standstill for me where it's like, it could be worse. But it's not.
Yeah.
Because I had learned a couple of things beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, let me just hear what they have to say.
So was the counselor like gentle, or how did they approach you with it?
He was very gentle.
Okay.
I was very good with a lot. Like as soon as he sat down, he was just like, "How do you feel?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. Like everything's fine. I just need to know what I have to do."
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "I'm fine. Just, you know, I've been here for a little bit and I'm here with someone and I don't know how long they've been waiting."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was just like trying to get out of there as well because I was more anxious to get to to get there.
Right.
That speaks volumes that you were worried about this other person with everything that was going on for you.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, it was a lot for me because, again, like, I already knew what I was doing. Right. I was already at a very young age.
Yeah.
This other person was older. Mm-hmm. I would say maybe, like, 8 to 10 years older. Mm-hmm. I assumed that, just because you're older, you would hopefully understand and hopefully be not thinking the same way, but like again, like I knew what I was doing. Right. I hope you know what you were doing.
Yeah, like we're both adults. We both laid down, so we're both responsible for our own health.
Exactly.
Yeah. So once you finally left out of there and got to your friend,
I mean, like it took with the counselor, like again, it took him a little bit, but finally, like he cracked me, and I did cry a little bit.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh, whatever. And then he finally told me what we had to do and everything. So I finally got to him, and it was very awkward in the elevator ride. We went downstairs. We walked to the car. Again, very awkward. We said like 1-word, 2-word answers. And like we slowly got to the car. We get into the car and he goes, I had to come back in 2 weeks. And so I looked at him and I said, okay, I do too. And that's again, when I correlated, when I just linked, okay, he's positive as well. Mm-hmm. So that gave me a bit of relief, but then it didn't because I don't know what he's thinking.
Right.
And
do you think you got it from him or he got it from you or you don't even know?
I don't even know, but I also wasn't like, one of the things I tried to explain to him was like, I'm not trying to think like that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Like again, I know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I hope you do too.
Right.
So this is where we are. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So I have a question. Mm-hmm. So did you notice any changes in your body prior to?
I did get sick earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. Like I would say maybe April, May.
Mm-hmm. Like a little cough, flu? No,
like definitely a flu.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, definitely got a flu. It was for a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Like more than a week?
More than a week. Okay. It was definitely more than a week.
But you never went to the emergency room or anything?
Nah, I did in Virginia. It was really hard to get insurance anyway.
Okay.
And DC.
Yeah.
So I didn't have insurance. I didn't go anywhere. I just like took over the counter medications. I tried to get over it, but I did have like to have some time off of work.
Yeah, of course.
I had a friend who I was around when he was like diagnosed and everything. Well, prior to his diagnosis, he told me when he first knew something was wrong, he said he was getting a haircut. He's at the barber shop, and he immediately had to go like shit. Like he immediately out of nowhere it was like an immediate shit, like where he had to like get up while he was getting his haircut and run to the bathroom. And he said after he shit, he said it was like a feeling he had never felt before. Like his whole body had just changed in that instant. And then for maybe a week or two, he said he couldn't really eat. Everything that he would eat tastes different. And he said he was going through like all these different emotions. And he went to a doctor, and a doctor told him that he had like pancreatitis or whatever. Like his pancreatitis, and his pancreas was inflamed. Mm-hmm. And that's how they diagnosed him, and they just sent him home, and he like dealt with that. So I say that to say that I don't know how on set when you got sick, how it was for you. But when he explained that to me, it just like scared the fuck out of me. And after that moment, like anytime I would get like sick or diarrhea really quick, I would think like, oh my God, I got it. Yeah. I knew it was going to happen. And, you know what I'm saying?
Did you even think that when you got sick, or you just like whatever? It's just.
Did you think? Did you think like that?
I didn't really think. I just like thought I normally get sick for a long period of time, and it did. I would say it was a late bloom because I usually get sick around my birthday. Mm-hmm. And this happened, April, May. So this happened very late. I didn't really get sick during my birthday at all. Mm-hmm. So I expected it.
Okay.
And I wasn't really thinking anything of it. I was just like, again, this is just my elongated flu that I always usually get. Like, it is what it is. But I did lose a lot of weight in the meantime.
Yeah.
So between like right after you got sick or after your diagnosis?
Or
during all of it. All of it. So yeah, during me getting sick, then getting sick, and then losing extra weight, and then getting to my diagnosis, I had lost a lot of weight.
Like 30
significant.
pounds.
Like I I remember when I had lost so much weight. When I first got here, I was like 180, and my average was at least 250 to 270.
Wow. And you didn't think nothing the whole time?
I also was getting very active.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I was working 2 jobs. I was going to school. All this in the meantime.
So you attributed all of that to...
He was like, I just want to be a bad bitch. I don't give a fuck.
Pretty much, I smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah.
So like, I've also read that, that helps in when you eat too much fat, it stores your fat, or again, if you're working out, it helps you as well as you decrease your fat.
Oh, okay. I never heard that.
So that's what it is.
So when you went back 2 weeks later, what happened then?
When I went back 2 weeks later, they had really messed up all my files, so I didn't really get medications for a little bit. But I did start going to my first appointments. They were really, really, really nice to me. And they educated me a lot in the sense of what I had missed out on.
Right.
So they explained to you the viral load. They explained to you the CD4 plus cell count, which is your infection fighting cells.
So how far along were you? Like, were you really sick?
I was like, I remember being like at my viral load being at like 13,000.
Okay.
But they were like, we've seen others that have been like way higher. So I didn't know if I was like at the beginning. I don't know if it was in the middle.
And normal viral load would be what number?
A normal viral load, like in the sense that like when
you're like when you're negative.
When you're negative, okay. So like when you're negative, you're negative. You have no viral load.
Oh, okay.
When you're negative, like when now someone is negative of all STDs and HIV, it is just no viral load.
Yeah.
But when you're HIV positive and you're getting undetectable, which is virtually no risk of infecting someone and transmitting it, that is when your viral load is supposed to be under 20, but also in some laboratories and or some facilities, it could be under 40.
Okay.
What I've heard.
13,000.
I had 13,000 at the time.
Wow.
Because, again, I wasn't taking my medications because I didn't know anything.
And were they able to trace it back to say, so you probably got sick around, December?
I did ask, and they were like, no, it doesn't really work that way. But I've also heard that it can work that way. Yeah. But I was told it wasn't.
Maybe not in Virginia with the test.
Yeah.
Low technology. Damn, that's crazy. Did you end up keeping in contact with the friend that you were dating, or what happened with him?
I mean, I did for a little bit. I mean, eventually it broke off, and like it just completely broke off. It was a here and there, on and off, but then like it just completely broke off.
And never a conversation about what happened.
We did definitely. Like it was like that same day we had that conversation. I asked. I was just like, I needed, for me personally, because again, I thought we were in a relationship. Well, it gets more into that, and it's just that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
But again, it was in the sense of like I thought we were in a relationship, so I asked myself. I was like, "Are you going to take care of this yourself?
Right.
Am I going to have to take care of this myself, or are we going to do this together?"
Okay.
Because if we're going to do this,
especially for 23, 24.
Yeah.
I've tried.
I'd have been like, bitch, I'm coming at you with every knife I got.
Every knife I got.
Whether I gave it to you or you gave it to me.
Oh my God.
Whether you did it or not.
Shit. Oh my God.
No, I did. I just wasn't. I've never really. When I was younger, yes, but as I've grown, like I've tried really hard to not be as goofy as I was before. Right. Even though I've been told don't lose it, like be yourself. Yeah. Like it hasn't really gotten me anywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I've tried to become more serious.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I did ask. I said, I had to ask you. You're older than me. Again, I assume you're more mature than I am.
Yes.
What do you want to do? Do I need to do this by myself, or are you going to do this with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the response was, we do it together. Mm-hmm. But it didn't end up being that way in the sort, because again, when I also got diagnosed, 2 weeks later, I did also get other STD reports, and I was like also positive for chlamydia. I was positive for syphilis. Mm-hmm. And so I would call and I'd be like, you should probably just go and just get the shot,
for sure.
Even if you don't have it, get the motherfucking shot.
Get a full panel, get everything.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. Okay. So it just didn't work. The communications it just was broken off.
Right.
It didn't work out, and it just seemed more of like we're doing this by ourselves. And I said, okay.
So once you get your results, do they normally make you register with the CDC, and do they ask for like a list of your partners so they can call them, or?
They do ask. I remember they are asking, like, do you have a list of partners that you may want to contact? We do contact them anonymously for you.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time, I was way comfortable telling people. At the time, those certain people.
Yes.
I was just like, let's try and figure this out.
Yes.
You know, I didn't really give them any names. And then also they keep it really like low key.
Yeah.
Is what I've been told again.
Is
everything what I've been told. Yes. So they keep it really low key, and they're like, you know, you do have a file, but it's not like they know your name. You're
it's
more
like
of like a
number.
yes, exactly. It's just a patient number, and there's like a bajillion of them type shit. So
I have a question.
Yes.
And this is more of like a fast forward to now. Do you find it hard to let people know when you're dating or getting to know people your status? Only because of like stigmas.
It was a little bit before. Now it's not. When I say a little bit before, it was literally a brief moment where I was just like, I don't know if I should say anything, but then I just like was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
People have to know.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it was just there. You know, Grindr has when Grindr came up with your whole, what is your status?
Yeah.
But it didn't really have your, like, when did you last get tested?
Right.
And are you undetectable type?
Yeah,
it just said, what is your status?
Does it say those things now?
Yes.
It does.
Oh,
It does.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it does.
okay.
Grindr has upgraded a couple times.
Yeah.
So
It's so complicated. I try to get on
So
Grindr.
after you got
it's so
diagnosed,
complicated.
were you like, I'm off sex, I don't even want to touch nobody? Or how long before you had sex again? And what was that first time like when you had to disclose it?
It was a little bit, I would say, maybe like at least 90 days. At least. And then after, because again, at that point, I
Wait
was
for
like,
syphilis and everything to get it.
and like I had already gone on the medications. So, yes. So, it was about like 90 days. I had known someone that actually was undetectable, and I had kept in contact with them. And so when I found out, I just immediately hit them up, and we started talking. And then that's the person I went to go see.
And you had already had sex with them prior to?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were a little educated about them being like undetectable.
Yeah.
and that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Definitely. I just like read up myself a little bit. I educated myself
Yeah.
on it. And again, I at that point I was just like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I know the risks, even the heavier risks. Again, which is what it referenced to, like it could be worse.
Right.
So that was, you know.
So how did the medications make you feel?
I was supposed to start off with Stribil.
Is it like one pill or it's like a cocktail?
It's a cocktail in one pill.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 4 different medications in one, or 4 different ingredients in one. And so I was supposed to take that, but again, they messed up my file. So finally, they came up with this new one called Genvoya, which was supposed to be less harsh on the kidneys and the liver, but it could cause a lot of nausea. At first, I just didn't really think anything of it because I was nauseous anyway. So as time went on, I just could like really like not bear the nausea from the medication.
From the whatever.
The Genvoya.
Good Lord.
So I talked to the doctors, and I was just like, they were like, try an anti-nausea.
Okay.
So you got to
over-the-counter.
take that with another.
Because are there different versions of the pill with different levels of medication?
There's different versions of the pill. It's like a different, like, I call them branches.
Okay.
So it's like one branch has several medications in it. And so going into detail about a little bit of education, like when you are on an antiretroviral and you miss medications, the virus ends up adapting to the medication and becoming resistant to it.
Right.
You're resistant to that whole entire branch of medication.
Gotcha.
Good Lord.
So you go to the next one. And then hopefully.
But normally they prescribe.
How long does that take though? I'm sorry.
That.
Like it's like if you miss, is it just like one day
you have to miss like
or
a week?
I have partaken in that missing of the tablets, and it can take it can take a little time. Really depends on your
like
viral
one day
load.
or
I would say maybe
You have to
like
miss
a couple
days.
a couple of pills. I would say at least a week's worth.
and then that's when
But they would, like, you know, I'm not trying to say that they scare you. Again, like it is not a pleasant conversation to have.
Yeah.
But it's like they try and like they do tell you. They don't try. They do tell you like you have to take your pill every day.
Yeah.
Don't miss a dose. It's more to again. For you to be aware that if you are resistant to this one medication, you are resistant to this whole branch of medications.
Right.
So now I have to try something else.
Yes.
You know, and again, if I have to go through that nausea again, that was all my fault.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the big scare.
So did you ever have a moment of like, why me? Because you contracted HIV in the era of PrEP. So it's like, did they ever have that in Virginia, or like what was going on?
They did, but again, it was like really conservative, and like I was more in the. It was more of like there was the 5 gays in the school and everybody knew who they were type. Yeah. So I didn't really like put myself out there for that. Yeah. And like I didn't really talk to the doctors about it. Again, it was really like being gay was not well in the family at the time. So it was just like not a conversation I would have with the doctors. It was not a conversation that I had with like really anybody.
Did you have that whole mentality growing up that, you know, HIV, that type of thing would never happen to me? Was that
or like that it would be like a death sentence?
Because I educated myself before, I did not think anymore that it was a death sentence.
You were very woke for, you know, coming into that whole thing. Because I came up in an era where there was a serious negative...
and I'm on the cusp of like... I have 5 friends who passed from HIV. So still to this day, and actually probably about a month ago, I was telling David I had met this guy who, you know, was a nice guy. And then he ended up telling me his status, and I got quiet on the phone. And I didn't want to make it awkward, but, you know, obviously I was in my head. And then I'm thinking back to how I came up, and it's like, damn, you know, I don't know if I want to date somebody that's positive, because I want to be nasty with my niggas, just to be honest. But not that you can't, and I am educated, but that's not the first thing that popped in my head. I was just like, damn, you was almost perfect.
Yeah, but I don't like that you said...
I know, but that's the truth.
Because remember, we had that conversation, and I didn't really agree with your awkwardness of how you handled it. To me, that's much respect that he even told you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the honesty, but you still can't control my reaction.
But you'd be surprised at how many... and that's natural. But you'd be surprised at how many niggas that you've probably already fucked.
Oh, I know, for sure.
That won't tell you
anything. But I also came across a lot of guys who do tell me, and I feel like a lot of people in this era, because PrEP is so prevalent, they act like HIV is nothing. They're just like, oh, whatever, like, I'm undetectable, or everybody's like, I'm on PrEP, I don't care what you got. So,
but there's so much more out there.
Well, of course, but
you know what I mean.
You know, everything ain't a shot and 2 pills.
Everything ain't.
You know,
it is not.
And I was. It's so funny because I was at Coachella, and I remember having a conversation with some friends. We were all talking about STDs, and this is how ignorant I was. Opening my mouth before I even knew what was going on, and I was just like, you know, it's just some things that I'm just so terrified to get. And I mentioned HIV, and then I was just like, and then also like herpes, because like when you break out, I am so scared of herpes. Like I am. And I was just like, you know, you break out, you have these outbreaks and all these other things, and I'm just like going off about it, right? And I'm just like, well, thank God I don't have that. And then two people in the group that I was talking to, 2 of them were like, yeah, well, I have it. And I was like, oh, shit.
Herpes or HIV?
Herpes.
Oh, they both.
Yeah, and they just said it. They was like, well, I take this for it, and it's fine.
Oh, man. They're too comfortable.
And it's fine or whatever.
I would never.
But it was a learning lesson for me, because I was just like, you know what? I was prejudging, you know, opening my mouth and speaking very recklessly, and I had no idea. And they handled this just fine, and it's under control. You know what I'm saying? But that just, to me, that was like it was like an eye opener, because I'm just like, you know, people are out here speaking like this recklessly about these diseases and these viruses and hurting people's feelings and not even educated.
And that's almost like when you grow up gay and you hear your parents or somebody in your family say, I don't want nobody in my family to be gay because I would do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. And it's like now, you know, so.
So when I first got diagnosed again, it was the HIV, it was chlamydia, syphilis. Okay, syphilis took a little bit though. Syphilis, like they have stages. Syphilis has stages.
Were you like losing your hair and stuff already? Or?
No, I actually had gotten a rash, and I had, according to one of the doctors that I had met, that doctor told me, it looks like you were in like the tertiary stage, the 3rd stage of syphilis. And so it's pretty much like when you break out in rashes and then like it's kind of all over you. And that's when I started finding out that I did have patches of rashes, and like I looked down there and I did have little patches of guys down there. So again, I immediately called him, and the first thing again that came to my head was like herpes. I went to the clinic, and the first thing I went and said to him, and I said, I want to get tested for syphilis. And so he's like turning and looking at me, and he turns to look at me and he goes, so your culture for herpes came back negative. And he looks at me and he goes, but to reassure you, we're going to do the blood work that you asked for. But I'm also going to send out blood work for syphilis because that is what I know you have.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do today is we're going to give you a shot.
Yeah.
And that is going to take care of everything.
So what was it like breaking the news to your family?
Okay, so I first went to my best friend.
Okay.
And so again, I'm 6. Number 2, he lived with us at the time. And that time, I ended up just telling my brother. He took it very well. Obviously, again, I was like bawling, I was crying. Like he was like kind of like a father figure to me. So I was just like, I don't know what to do from here. And so he was like, just, you know, I had explained to him everything they had told me at the office, all that fun stuff. And he was like, okay, just do what they said, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, and if there's anything you need, just call me and let me know. Like, we live together, but again, call me and let me know. So he took it very well. So on my birthday, we ended up having a little, like, get-together with a whole bunch of my friends and some of my family members. I ended up taking one too many shots, and so I went up to my sister, and I just ended up telling my sister. And my sister is like a mother figure to me as well. Yeah. And my brother-in-law is also like a father figure to me. They've been together for as long as I can remember. I was 8 when they got together. So they've been together for a long time, and he's been with me for a long time. He's actually one of the first people to ask me if I was gay. He was also there at the time, and he heard. So then I was fine. Again, I was fine. I was very drunk. I was having a good time. They started crying, so then that made me cry, and then like that happened. So then I didn't tell the rest of my family for like about 7 months. And again, that whole entire time was it could be worse. Yeah. You know, because I finally got the results, and I'm like, it is just HIV. Yeah. And again, so that's when you reference that, and you're just like, oh, there has to become a time where you know the difference like when people have it and they understand it and they're living with it, so they've been very educated with it, and people who are not educated with it and will make those kind of remarks. So for me, I'm in the middle because it's like I'm in the middle because I already know what they're gonna say. I already know where I am. So it doesn't affect me. Just keep going straight.
Did you ever have a moment of like battling depression or feeling like you want to kill yourself or something?
No, I've always jokingly said I've very jokingly said multiple times, like, oh, my life, oh, I'm going to kill myself, like, you know, that type of situation. I've never ever wanted to do it.
So are you undetectable now?
Yes.
And how long has it been?
It has been since 2015.
Oh, okay. So relatively quick.
Definitely relatively quick. Like, they took care of me. I did everything I had to. I missed a little bit when I became a little bit undetectable for, like, I would say maybe 3 to 6 months, but then afterwards...
You missed 3 to 6 months?
No. I became undetectable for 3 to 6 months because I missed medications. Okay. So it took up to 3 to 6 months for me to get back to undetectable.
Okay.
And only because, again, the antiretroviral works every single day. You have to take it every day. And I've been told multiple things at different times, different things. So, like, it's either you have to take it every day, once every 24 hours, or you have to take it, it's like birth control. You take it once every 24 hours at the same time. I've never done that. I've only just done it once every single day.
Once every day.
So if you miss, so you've been undetectable for 4 years now, but if you miss like a week, you can go back to being HIV positive. You
have potential of being positive again. Of being undetectable again, because it really just, for me, again, it really depends because I've gotten different answers. Either you're under 20, which again is really undetectable, or you're under 40, which is also undetectable in some facilities and some clinics. So again, if they come up to you and they tell you that you're like at 50, you, as long as you're taking your medication again, you should I hope you get back there, you know?
So if you take your medication regularly, then 9 times out of 10 you're undetectable.
as long as your viral load is to a maintainable level, I would say. Again, when I got diagnosed, they told me, we've had higher, like, umpteen numbers.
Yeah, and probably if you're more of a healthy person all around, too. Because I'm sure if you drink a lot and do other stuff, that's going to throw you off.
And that's probably why people now, in today's time frame, I think that's probably why so many people still, not so many, but people pass away still, is because they're not taking care of themselves.
Yeah. My friends that died, they knew they had it, and they refused to take medication. What? They refused to acknowledge it.
What?
And they were literally still out here having unprotected sex with people,
just passing it on, just giving
it. Because it was out of spite. They were mad.
I've never understood that philosophy. Like, I've never understood why people are mad because they are positive and they just give it.
I feel like it's one of those like, why did it happen to me? How did it happen to me? That type of situation. Which is why when I was that age, I was like, I need you not to think that way, because if you're going to think that way, this shit is not going to work, and I'm going to do this all by myself, bro. I can do this.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I feel like it's more of that. It's more of just freaking out.
But is it being mad, or is it just like, fuck it, I'm gonna die, let me just, if I want to fuck, I'm gonna fuck?
I feel like it's
being selfish.
I think it's being scared. Like, they're being vulnerable. They're being very vulnerable. They're like, they've laid their life out. Again, they've had unprotected sex, so they've laid their life out, and now they have to lay in it, and they don't want to.
So what percentage of the time would you say that you use condoms now? Or do you not, because you're undetectable?
It's
honest.
To be very honest, I ask.
Okay.
I ask.
That's
do you want to use protection?
Yeah.
Do you not want to use protection? Again, I've been very, very open about it. There was just, again, a brief time where I wasn't, but like, I've been very open about it. And I am HIV positive and undetectable.
But having unprotected sex with somebody else who has a different strand could be like...
It's different, yeah. It's completely different.
Mess you up.
You are taking your medication, so it's definitely, keeping your viral load down. I, to be honest, have not asked if it also acts like PrEP. I don't think it does.
I don't think so.
But I also would hope that the other person that is detectable would hopefully be getting either medications or start getting medications soon, so they don't.
Well, that's true.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but also if you catch a gonorrhea or something, it can mess you up.
It can mess you up, right?
Most that for so I definitely, like, you could stay undetectable, but you can still get gonorrhea. I've gotten chlamydia before after being undetectable. So again,
because your immune system is already broken down. So
exactly, I'm already immunocompromised. So that's a big thing. Like, I've definitely
slowed down a little bit.
I definitely have slowed down a little bit. Definitely have slowed down.
You know what's crazy is I think that more and more people now than ever before don't use condoms because there's a thing of being undetectable, and there's PrEP now.
Yes.
And just in casual sex that I've had and people, my friends and stuff like that I know in the last couple of years, it's just like condom is like the last thing that's brought up in conversation or prior to even laying down. Like, niggas don't even bring condoms to your house.
People don't ask nothing.
No.
Like, what? Like, just last time I had sex, I remember having a conversation with a guy, and he was at my house, and this is somebody I've had sex with before, but he did not bring condoms, and I was just like, okay, and I was reaching to go grab them, and he had a problem with me reaching to go grab a condom, and I'm just like, bro, like, we ain't never, you know, and I've done it, you know, but me and him have never not used a condom, so I was just like, what? Like, what is
9 times out of 10, if I don't bring it up, nobody will bring it up with me.
And that's so scary, and especially for tops. You know, it's not more scary for tops, but I mean, as a top, if you don't bring it up and the bottom just lets it happen, that bothers me. That bothers me. Because bottoms are the sponges. They absorb whatever you got going on.
That's really true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you, as the bottom, if you were just like paying it, like, oh, whatever, then it's just like, well, who else is doing this to you?
Everybody.
It's scary. That's scary.
What's a question that you hate being asked?
What's a question I hate being asked? I want people to understand where I came from in the sense of when I was that young age, and it's like, I'm not thinking of why me? Why did it happen? Did you give it to me? Type situation. Those type of questions.
And what's something that you think you wish people asked you more?
I wish people asked me more which they have actually. I wish people have asked me more to get educated than to actually like kind of already go down the slope of like the negativity about HIV and AIDS. You know.
How does it work as far as like, do you want children and can you still have some without passing it on?
So I did. So I haven't talked to the doctor about it, to be honest. I've only talked to my best friend about it. I've heard a thing or two about it being like, oh, they've figured out a way for the baby not to get it. It would be like, you know, getting a surrogate.
Yeah.
And like making sure that everything is peachy keen.
Yeah.
Like there was a time when I was like, I can never have children. Again, there was that stigma. You can never do this anymore, and like you're just gonna be in this kind of like we're gonna be here and you're gonna be over there in that corner type situation. Yeah. So I've not talked to the doctor about it, so I can't confirm. Like I think people have had already.
Really?
Like, you know, I'm sure people have had.
There's ways around
kids.
it.
There's I would hope, and yes, I think there are ways.
I would think that it kind of works the same with all this different new technology they have with you know, people having babies non-traditionally, and like where they screen the sperm and like they do all different types of like filters and stuff on the sperm and stuff because they clean your.
I haven't heard anything about.
I don't know of any specific names of
as
what
far as
stuff
I know,
could be called or,
without passing it.
But I just thought that they do things now where they can like screen your sperm and stuff like that.
Yeah, they could do it to see like does it have all the chromosomes or.
But if they can do that, why can't they weed out, you know, passable diseases?
Well, because there's still no cure for HIV.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, there's still no cure. That's why everybody takes their antiretrovirals to be undetectable.
But there's so many new advances with possible cures.
Oh, I've heard like my best friend sends me all these things about it. She's sent me like, oh, they're making
there's some recent that just came.
You know, they're
out,
working
right?
on a shot for PrEP to where you only have to take it like
once a month or
twice
something?
a year or something.
Oh,
twice
really?
a year.
Yeah, I think it's like every 6 months type thing. I know they've been because they asked me to do a screening. What do you call it? Study.
A study.
Oh, yeah, a clinical study.
No, I'm not doing it. You need to work that out first.
That's what I did when I first started on.
I turned it down. I was doing a study for 3 years where I had the option to take it or not, and I just got the money and didn't take it. And then I let y'all.
You should have did it.
No, I did it after.
Well, I did. With me getting on PrEP, is I took a study when I first moved to LA because PrEP was still kind of like new. Because when I first moved to LA, I was kind of cutting up. And I was just so nervous with the study or whatever because I was just like, I don't know, like what
if I'm that point?
Right, like I don't. What is it like? You know what I'm saying? And I had been so lucky for so many years prior, and I guess blessed. Yeah. Just because I'm older and I came up in a time where there was no PrEP, and if you didn't wrap it up, you was probably going to catch something. Yeah. And so I think what saved me, looking back on just life, is I was usually in a relationship during those really rough times where people was catching stuff. Right. I was in a relationship.
It was just the mercy of God for me.
It was, you know, some people were fast, some people were cutting up. But I also think, and to your point, and this just comes from what I've learned and educating myself, is you were probably more of a top back then. And tops
still.
From okay. Girl. Now or
still.
Oh, okay.
Like Tamia.
Oh, like right now?
Like right now?
Okay. Yeah. With that being said, and my doctor, I have a gay doctor, and my doctor explained something to me, and he said that, you know, bottoms are they're faster to catch it.
Of course.
Than tops are, and for obvious reasons. And so maybe you being a top, there had been times that maybe you were fucking somebody that was a bottom that was positive.
Yeah.
But it's harder for you to catch it.
Yeah.
So I think saving you, you know, also was probably because you were a top, mostly top back then in those times or whatever. And saving me is just being in relationships where, you know, I trusted the niggas that I was dating or dealing with or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything you want to leave the people with? Because this was good.
I definitely want people to get educated. Like, get educated. Like, it's literally not a cliche. Get educated, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And maybe it's not going to give you peace of mind. Mm-hmm. maybe it is going to give you peace of mind. But at least you got educated.
Right. Well, definitely thank you for coming on and being open and honest and being a voice and a face for millennials who are living positive.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your courage.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.